Okay, let me now invite our next presenter. She is Ms. Prabha01. Topic is Emerging Geopolitics, Placing Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean Geopolitical Rivalry. Prabha has received her school education from Mahamaya Ladies College, Kandy, and her higher education in University of Peradeniya. She did Geography Special. In fact, the last year, she scored the highest grade point average in the entire Faculty of Arts in Peradeniya. She has, well, I'm fortunate that she has been one of my favorite students as well. She will eventually become one of the scholars in geopolitics in Sri Lanka. She is planning to go to UCLA to do her PhD. She is a lecturer at the Department of Geography. Over to you, Prabha.
Thank you, sir. It's a great pleasure for me to present my research here at KDU. My topic for this session is Emerging Geopolitics, Placing Sri Lanka in the Indian Ocean Geopolitical Rivalry. First, let me introduce the outline of my presentation. You can see it is on the screen. Before I dwell upon the presentation, let me give a small preface for my study. The reason why I'm presenting a preface for this conference is to show the linkage between my study and the theme of the conference. So let me read the preface. Post-conflict geopolitics in Sri Lanka marks a silver line in the regional and global geopolitical arena. The defeat and elimination of LTTE after its 30-year-long armed conflict against the state of Sri Lanka is considered as the most significant geopolitical event that happened ever in Sri Lankan political history. War against terror had made Sri Lanka geopolitically prominent in the regional and global geopolitics. Sri Lanka now stands as a war-free nation in the world political system, and now it's a safer place indeed in 2009, and brought international popularity and recognition as a peaceful and non-violent state. The current Indian Ocean geopolitics, characterized by the growing Sino-Indian rivalry, has given again a new boost to geopolitical significance of Sri Lanka. The entry of China into the Sri Lankan geopolitical space, partly as a result of the civil war and their immense interest in the Sri Lankan state, signals a new phase of South Asian geopolitics. The emerging interest of world powers like USA, China, and India has now led to a competition and signals a geopolitical rivalry in the Indian Ocean. In this context, the present geopolitical space has drawn Sri Lanka into the emerging regional Cold War in the Indian Ocean. In future, Sri Lanka may be entering into a dangerous geopolitical terra incognita, one of the unspoken aspects of post-war challenges of Sri Lanka. So in my study, what I have tried to do was to explore this unspoken aspect of post-war challenges of Sri Lanka to some extent. Now let me move to the objective of my study. The primary objective of the study was to identify and critically evaluate the factors defining the place of Sri Lanka in the emerging Indian Ocean Cold War. To achieve the above objective, I developed a theoretical introduction. For that, I would like to present you the exact meaning of geopolitics. Geopolitics means the geographical foundations of interstate relations. If I further simplify this, Study of geopolitics basically concentrates on understanding the power bases of competing states and their interactions with one another. I would like to show the difference between geopolitics and geostrategy, since majority of the audience are military persons. Geopolitics reflects the combination of geographic and political factors determining the condition of a state or region, and emphasizing the influence of geography on politics. Geostrategy refers to the comprehensive and planned application of measures to achieve a central goal or vital assets of military significance. The primary among them is protection of the state. In my study, what I'm more interested is studying the geopolitics, not geostrategy. So my study is on basically geopolitics. For that, I develop a diagram to show the geopolitical reality or the foundation of geopolitics that exists in the world. Through this diagram, you can see there's a main actor in geopolitics, that is the state, and there's another main, most important concept that we use in geopolitical studies, sovereignty, and then comes boundary and sphere of influence, and then the ordering of states, and as the last concept, national interest of states. If I am to summarize the diagram, the dynamics of national interest, sovereignty, the state rivalry, and sphere of influence have direct and indirect consequences on the geopolitical significance of states and places. These are the main concepts that we use in geopolitical studies, and my major concern is on the highlighted box, ordering of states. This is the geopolitical reality that exists in the world. We have superpowers like USA, and also we have regional powers like India and China, and we have small states. In this category, my major concern goes to small states, since Sri Lanka is a small state, and I'm going to look at the situation of Sri Lanka in world and regional geopolitics. Let me now move from the theory to the empirical background. I'm going to explain the geopolitical reality of a small state. Let us first see what is exactly meant by a small state. It is rather difficult to provide an objective definition, but from a geopolitical point of view, we identify a small state as a state which is not either a superpower or a regional power in the global and regional geopolitical arenas. The smallness that I talk here is not defined purely by geographical extent, but its relatively small influence in political, economic, cultural, and strategic fields in the global community of states. Now let me introduce Sri Lanka as a small state. Historically, Sri Lanka has enjoyed an independent political identity, despite being a small island state and in close proximity to India. As a victim of colonialism, from late 16th century onwards, Sri Lanka lost its independent existence as a political unit and became an appendage of British geopolitical strategy. After the colonial era, Sri Lanka became a small state in the context of post-war superpower rivalry. Simply we say it is the Cold War. From that period onwards, still Sri Lanka is identified as a small state in the global geopolitics. Now let me introduce the importance of Indian Ocean, where Sri Lanka is situated. According to US Navy strategist Rear Admiral Alfred Mahan in the late 18th century, Whoever attains the maritime supremacy in the Indian Ocean would be a prominent player on the international scene. This ocean is key to the seven seas in the 21st century. The destiny of the world will be decided in these waters. So from that day onwards, still Sri Lanka is a most significant state in the Indian Ocean. If you look at this line, you can clearly identify that Sri Lanka still holds that importance. Today too we consider Sri Lanka as the center stage for the 21st century. Now let me move to explain the significance of Indian Ocean a little bit. Historically, Indian Ocean was the most prominent ocean in the world, where the cultural hearts emerged, where the world civilizations emerged. In the colonial era, Indian Ocean was brought into the center of attention of the world community. In the Cold War period, Indian Ocean was the theater for superpower rivalry, the rivalry between Russia and USA. In the post-Cold War period, Indian Ocean geopolitics was purely defined by economics. At present, in the regional Cold War between China and India, again, Indian Ocean has become one of the most important oceans in the world. There are some smaller issues. They are not small at all, but terrorism, drug trafficking, piracy, and oil spills to bring a very importance for the Indian Ocean.